Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where Alex and I aim to answer your bike and tech related questions. You can submit your questions as ever in the comment section below using the hashtag askgcntech, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible each week within the allotted time.
Right. No, don't waste any time. Let's go. JK1984 says, if I'm running a tubeless setup in a self-supported gravel event, what supplies should I carry with? Simple. Let me compile this list for you. A tubeless plug kit, a pump/CO2 combo. You get one that's combining together. An inner tube, some tyre levers, and some self-adhesive patches. Whatever happens, you'll be able to fix a puncture there.
Yeah, and I would say take an inner tube that is got the correct length valve.
Oh yeah, that's really important.
That's really important, especially if you're using deep carbon wheels.
Yeah.
Yasinem750 says, do pro riders use foam inserts? And the answer is yes. So when we were at the Giro d'Italia, I did a video with Vittoria, and Vittoria make foam inserts, and they were using them. I know for a fact that Ineos were using them, and then we know that they've used them because they're like a run flat system. We know they've been used in cobbled races. We also know that certain teams were running them pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Except for like time trials where they really wanted rolling resistance gains. Now there is a slight rolling resistance penalty for using the foam insert, maybe like 5 watts, but they were like, you can ride a flat if you get a flat, which
is worth a lot more than 5 watts.
Potentially,
Yeah.
And they were also just, well, there's a huge safety element to it as well, because we have seen crashes where the tyre just comes off the rim with a clincher. And so having the insert helps keep that tyre on the rim.
Yeah, like a safety net. Okay, next question is from Socko Power. Hey guys, do you know if someone has ever tried or is working on wireless disc brake technologies? No more cables and integrated cabling grief. To me, it seems an obvious one for R&D departments and a GCN video. No, I hope nobody ever makes wireless disc brakes.
Well, they have looked at it. I know that it has been like thought experiments and stuff. I've spoken to SRAM ages ago about this, and speaking to SRAM engineers about it, and yeah, like it is something that obviously they've thought of because it's an obvious thing to think of.
Yeah.
But when you start going down it, you feel that with technology that we currently have or is on the horizon, you're creating more problems than you solve.
They could make wireless disc brakes 5 years ago if they really wanted to, 10 years ago if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But the issue is, you need to have a fail-safe.
Well, you're creating more problems than you solve.
Yeah.
What may be a thing that you could see would be an electronic brake, so a brake by wire. Like you might see that. So you just have a wire cable going to a brake, and a brake is a self-contained thing, and it has its own hydraulic reservoir stored on the brake caliper. But again, the problem with brake-by-wire systems, and that they explained this, is that like it's really difficult. You have to create brake feel.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the lever, it's just a switch. So as soon as you have a brake, but that's electronic or brake-by-wire.
Yeah. How do you change the pressure?
Yeah, you've got on and off in a traditional switch.
Brake on, brake off.
Yeah, and what you need to have is that feeling of modulation and progression, which you naturally get from a hydraulic line. And that's why cars have historically always still had brakes that are connected via hydraulic lines.
I'm with you.
Some cars do have brake-by-wire, but it's not very common.
No. All right, next question in. Hey, Alex and Ollie, do you unchain your wax chains every time you wash your bike? If not, how do you guys go about cleaning your bikes? I generally leave the chain in place when I wash my bike. I try to avoid doing like a big deep clean on my bike unless it really needs it, and then I kind of do the chain at the same time. But it means I'd leave it in place and then take the chain off afterwards, and then do whatever I want to do to the chain. Yeah,
so what I tend to do with the chain is, if I was doing a deep clean, I'd probably take the chain off, but then you can get into the sprockets and stuff more easily. But the general day-to-day cleaning is like what you say, leave the chain on, and get a microfiber and run the chain through a microfiber cloth, a clean one, just to take off the surface dirt off the chain and little bits of dust and stuff that's come off the road. And then to the wax chain, I just apply a fresh bit of drip-on wax to it.
Easy.
And then don't, that I don't tend to re-wax chains in a hot melt wax thing once they've been waxed.
Okay.
I tend to just wax it the first time when it's new, and then for the rest of the life of the chain, just drip on.
All right. Next question. Who have we got?
It is Soltore 007.
What I got to
I think
say?
they're a special agent. Is it possible that bike companies will advertise their lightweight climbing bike frames like their other aero bike frames? For example, the bike frame would save you 25 watts over 10 kilometers, with 15% steep climb at 30 kilometers an hour or something.
Well, I kind of know what they're saying, but I don't know whether it would work in that same way.
It's very hard because it's very system dependent in terms of total system weight. What I can tell you is that for a sort of typical rider weighing around 70 kilograms, then a kilogram of weight on Alpe d'Huez, if you're riding up it, irrespective of whether you're riding up it at, say, 250 watts or riding up it at 350 watts, a kilogram of weight is worth less than 5 watts.
Yeah.
So 5 watts is worth more.
So I think that's why we're maybe not seeing some of this stuff advertised quite like that, is because it doesn't feel like it sounds quite as impressive.
I don't think it would be very impressive, yeah.
No.
Oh, your bike is, 300 grams lighter.
You've saved half a watt.
It's not very impressive.
It's not a big sell, is it?
No. So, yeah, that would be why. So, yeah.
Well, we've said it like thousands of times before. Generally, aerodynamics will trump weight. So there you go.
Or just be 5 watts, just pedal 5 watts more.
Yeah.
Train yourself for 5 watts more, and that's worth
free.
more. Yeah. There you go.
Next question. Is it possible to run a GRX Di2 rear derailleur using Ultegra road levers together with my Ultegra front derailleur? Yes, I believe it is. Shimano have some really good compatibility charts on their website where it sort of lines up which parts are interchangeable. Of course, you're going to need to use the same iteration. So like 11 speed is only going to work with 11 speed, and same with 12 speed. So there you go. Double check online. I think you should be okay.
Yeah. CRA 55 says, are there some scenarios where heavier wheels or tyres might be an advantage? I ride a lot of mostly flat gravel roads and come up with a theory that the bigger, heavier tyre might be better at holding momentum over long, flat rides. This was a thought that occurred to me recently when I was shopping for new tyres and started looking at heavier touring tyres instead of the usual lightweight or gravel CX tyre.
I can kind of see what they're getting at here. You've stored all this momentum up. If you've got a big heavy tyre, it's going to keep you rolling along. But I think when you start to look at it in the picture of like overall ride, I think the negative impact of that heavy tyre is going to be worse than the slight advantage in situations.
Yeah. The biggest thing to be aware of with when you have the weight of a heavier wheel, the part of your ride where that is the most the biggest disadvantage is any moment where you're accelerating,
Which is quite a lot.
Yeah, well, it can be and it can be not. Like it's a lot less than you think. If you're having to depends on where you ride and what you're doing. But if you're decelerating a lot and applying brake, and then having to accelerate back up to speed again, the heavier wheel is slower.
Yeah.
Like you're constantly doing stuff. The weight of the wheel doesn't matter so much once you're actually up to speed, because then you do have, as I think you're feeling, a flywheel effect with a heavier wheel. So it does have that energy is in the wheel as acting as a flywheel at that point once it's up to speed and turning. But to get it up to speed and turning requires more energy.
It was a thought process that Francesco Moser used on his hour record bike going back years and years. The wheels weigh like 5 kilos each or something.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with the hour record's a perfect example of that, because that's like almost the ultimate example of the acceleration having the least impact, because he only has to accelerate once really in the hour record, and then he's up to speed, and then ideally, in an ideal situation, you're just trying to hold that speed, and you've got that energy stored in the wheel then as a flywheel. So
maybe we should just investigate this further. Yeah, I think maybe we could.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put it down as a maybe. Right, that's it for this week's GCN Tech Clinic. As always, sorry if we didn't answer your questions, but keep putting them in the comments section down below. And in future weeks, who knows, we'll maybe answer it. Right, we're out of here.
Love you, bye.